we are fishing. There we go. A beautiful Brighton Plaice. I do love catching plaice. I'm going to take the forceps through the gills, and then what we're going to do is get hold of that hook with the forceps and just push it back. You can see there's no blood coming out that fish at all. So there we go, guys. Good morning. It is glorious. Today you're joining me down Brighton, and it's really the first proper nice day I've been able to get out. We're targeting plaice today. There's still some colour in the water, but it is definitely a bit clearer than it was a few days ago when I was fishing down Brighton Marina. So we're definitely in with a chance. The downsides are the tides are really tiny this week. So again, the tides today, I'm not expecting a huge number of fish, but hopefully there'll be something around. And I've also brought a few sand eels down with me, as well as my black lug, to see if I can pick something up on those. So anyway, to reiterate, main target's plaice, and maybe something on a sand eel if we're lucky. I've arrived at the beach just after high tide. It's 20 past 9 now. High tide was about an hour ago, but it's only going to drop off a little bit because it's such a small tide. I've got one rod chucked out already, so it's time to get the other one set up and chucked out. So what have I got with me today? I have my favourite rods for this kind of fishing. My Tronix Pro Competition Performance 2-piece rods. And on this one, I've got my Daiwa 7HT, the blue mag. And the other one that I've already cast out, that's got my Tronix Pro Banzai Tournament on there. And I'm using that, I've just chucked a couple of sand eels on that. It's great because it's got a ratchet. So I've set my drag, got the ratchet set. And you never know, because it's on the ebb, there might be a ray around. But I'm not expecting much. I just thought I'd try something a bit different while I'm down here chasing the flatties. So anyway, we get this one set up and chucked out. So the lug I've got with me today are what I had left from the other day, so they're a little bit past their best. You can see that's looking a little bit sticky. Oh, it's dropping one on the ground. But I got 4 wraps, a few day old lug. Some of it's a little bit fresher, so I'll give it a mix up and try the mixing in the fresher stuff with the slightly older stuff. You never know, might make a difference to picking up a fish. So I've got all that bait in there. Well, all of it. I've got actually 1 wrap plus a few other worms out ready to go. The rest of it's down here in my cool bag out the sun with an ice pack. And today on my rigs, I'm going to use a 5-ounce grip on one of my plaice rigs, and I've got a plain hybrid lead. I think that's a 4-ounce for the other rig. So rig wise, what have I got here? Well, I have, that's a 3-foot up and over wishbone rig, and my other rig, I'm going to try and chuck it out a bit further. So I've got just a 1-hook rig there for distance, and that's a mono bar rig, and I've actually got a 1/0 hook on there, so it allows me to put a slightly bigger bait further out than I can manage on the 2-hook wishbone rig. And the 2-hook wishbone rig, I've got size 4 hooks on that, my usual saltwater super matches, whereas the 1/0 hook on my mono bar rig, that's a saltwater champion. So I'll get these rigs out ready to go, and we'll take a look at them in a second. So first up for today, I've loaded up my mono bar rig, and I've put my 5-ounce grip lead on that. The hybrid lead's going to go on my other rig, because remember I said the mono bar rig here, I've designed it for distance. Now the hybrid lead is great, but it's not a distance lead, whereas this grip lead is going to fly much better through the air. And you can see I've got about a 3-foot loop there. So I've loaded that with 3 black lugs, and it's all clipped up, ready to go. Extremely short rig body on this, that's about 6-7 inches long, and it's made with 75 pound xenon. The snood there, I've got 42 pound black outline, and that's all clipped up. And again, you can probably pick out there if I just put my hand behind it, my usual, because I'm using a cascade swivel on the snood, I've got my mini clip to aid unhooking should we get a fish. So let's get this chucked out. Make sure my drop length's about right. Good to go. Position my lead where I want it. I'm always quite careful about where I put my lead casting off the ground. You don't want it to get stuck on any larger pebble or anything. Position my feet. There we go. And we are fishing. Well, I just reeled in my mono bar rig. I hadn't noticed any bites, but first cast, and we have our target species. There we go. A beautiful Brighton Plaice. So let's get this guy unhooked and we'll see how big he is. Take a better look. Fabulous. Brilliant start. I'm very happy. Woohoo, fish! I do love catching plaice. Better than whiting. So let's take a better look at this plaice. Just get him out of the bucket. Pop him on the box. Give him a measure. There we go. What's that coming in at? Just move him across a bit. Just a touch over 33 centimetres. It's nice and fat as well. Not like a couple of months ago when they would have been a bit skinny. Definitely a bit of meat on that one. So let's take a look at how we're going to unhook him. So the first thing I'm going to do is just unclip the snood off the rig. So the rig's now completely separate. And what I'm going to do is get my forceps. I'm going to take the forceps through the gills very gently and pop that up there. Now take that piece of line, gently pull it back through to the other side. So I'll pass that back through the gills and I'm going to hold the fish, pull that, and it's turned the hook. There we go. And then what we're going to do is get hold of that hook with the forceps and just push it back the other way. Gently slide that through. There we go. And the hook is out. And the fish, well, this one's going to come home, but it would have been very good to go back. You can see there's no blood coming out that fish at all. So there we go, guys. Plaice number one, first cast. So I've got my wishbone rig ready to chuck out here. It's an up and up over wishbone. So at the business end there, there's two size 4 hooks loaded with lug on the imp. And that's on a free sliding wishbone. So there's a swivel there. And there's nothing holding the bit of snood line with the hooks on in place on that swivel. So it's free to slide. And then at the top of the rig, there's one of these little casting snaps with the clip. And the line just hooks over that. And that's it, ready to chuck out. Let's see if I can get another one. Well, before I'd had a chance to get my spare rig rebaited after catching that plaice, I've already got another bite on the right hand rod here that's got the wishbone rig with the hybrid lead on there. So I'm just going to keep a little eye on this, see if we can get another one. Remember, the thing with plaice fishing is sit on your hands, give them time to take the bait down. So I've just seen that bite, I'm going to give it a few minutes. It's now 10 past 10. There it goes. Definitely something having a bit of interest on that. So while that bite's developing, I'm going to get my other rig baited up, ready to go back out, because I'm in no rush to reel this one in. And then we'll be getting baits back in the water as quick as we can after the retrieve. Fab. Now I'll just leave you watching that rod for me while I get some bait on this hook. It's definitely gone a bit slack again. Be interesting to see if I do get a hook up on this, because if I use a plain lead that rolls much more than the hybrid lead, sometimes when I'm plaice fishing, I've actually had more hookups on a grip lead, even though I've had more bites on the plain lead. Whereas this hybrid lead does have a bit of grip to it. So it's going to be interesting to see how it works today. Right, I'll just look for my rig. Here we go. Put that up on there. There we go. So I'll just get my black lug loaded on. I've got 2 blacks here ready to go back out. Get that bait stop in the right place. There we go, fully loaded, ready to go. Sort the grip lid out. Reset that. And get it all hooked up. Pop the hook on the imp first, and then the cascade swivel that's on the snood goes through the swivel on the rig body with the big looper line free. Pop the bait needle back down. My hands a quick rinse because these black lug really are sticky. Look at that. Black hand. So that's now had 3 or 4 minutes since I saw the bite. So we'll have a little lift down, see if there's anything on here. It feels quite light. Do it a little bit more. Well, not sure. We'll get it reeled in, take a look. It's definitely a bite though, so I've got higher hopes now for the day than I had when I arrived. I might be reeling those sandeels in a minute and sticking a Plaice rig out instead. While the fish are biting, maximise the chance of catching a few. What have we got? We do have a fish. This one, however, is not the intended target. There we go, little whiting. Graced us with his presence. Get this chap unhooked, chuck him back. Well, it's been a little while since I caught that whiting and the Plaice. So time to reel back in, see if we got anything. This one is the mono bar rig I chucked out a fair way. So let's see if there's a fish on. Tighten the reel seat up. There we go. Let's see. There might be a little bit of weight on here. Excuse me. Yeah, it definitely feels heavy. Heavy being relative, of course. It's not like that nice £9 cod I had in Norway. But it feels like there's something pulling back. Hopefully it's not just the grip lead dragging through the sand. I'm pretty sure there's something on here. It's getting close to the edge now. What have we got? Oh, got the leader knot in the right place, that's good. There we go, look at that. Another one of our target species. A little bit smaller this one, but very lively as you can see. Keep him still. So I'll get this one hooked and we'll pop this one back. Bit too small to take home this. I only want to take things home that are definitely going to be sizable and big enough to provide a meal. But we'll get this little chap unhooked and get him swimming off back in the sea. Anyway, before I just sign off for this little clip, that is 2 Plaice on the mono bar rig, 1 whiting on the up and over wishbone. If it keeps going like this, I might be chucking another bar rig out, we'll see. Or maybe trying a grip lead on the other one. Always good to experiment, see what works well on the day. So there we go, 28 centimetres, but definitely too small to take home to eat in my opinion. So we're going to get this guy unhooked and pop back. Just wait for the next wave. Oh, needs a little more water. There we go. And he's off. Hopefully he'll come back when he's 50 centimetres. So, as you can see, I've got my hybrid lead with my up and over wishbone ready to chuck back out. I just need to make sure I put my thummy back on so I can grip the spool, make sure that's nice and dry as well. Wet thummy is a recipe for disaster. There we go. I tend to take it off between casts, it's a little bit tight. Now we're good to go. Oh, watch my other line. Get the drop length right. Not twisted round the top eye. There we go. Job's a good one. Baits are out. Fair old distance as well, so I'm happy with that. So while I was dealing with that place, I've got a slack line again on the one with the hybrid lead. So I'm just going to reel down into this and see if we have anything. Yeah, there's definitely weight on here. I'll just move the camera so you can get a better look. Hopefully the picture will stay relatively level. Right, let's see what we've got. Nope. Let's do slightly better than that, come on. Try that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is not a whiting. I say that. Maybe it's two whiting. But I'll see. Tide's dropped off quite a bit now. Oh yes, it's definitely fighting back. This is either two fish or a better fish. Or a very energetic fish that wants its freedom. We're near the edge, what have we got? Oh, I need to sort my lead on it out before the next cast. Oh, the obligatory dogfish. Well, that'll be why it was fighting harder. There we go. Doggy. So there we go, guys. Dogfish wrapped up in my rag so it doesn't sandpaper my hands up. We'll get him put back. Check he swims off all right. They do have a bit of a habit sometimes of deciding to beach themselves. No, he's gone. Gone back to live another day. Right, so it's two Plaice on the mono bar rig, doggy and whiting on the up and over wishbone. Let's get the mono bar rig chucked back out. There we go. Launch to sea. Let's see what we get. Well, I've been fishing a few hours now and it's definitely time for a brew. I've got my jet boil today, so that'll be a nice hot cuppa coming up. There we go. Get that lit. Got my carp and my bag ready and a little splash of milk. Let's get this bad boy boiled, make a cup of tea, and then while my tea's brewing, I'll reel in, change my baits and get some fresh baits chucked out. But I'm very happy really, considering I got here and I'm thinking the tides are small, the conditions aren't really ideal, the sea's still clearer than it was a few days ago, but still got that bit of colour. I'm definitely happy with 2 plaice, a ting and a dog so far. Still all to play for. I've got a good few hours left before I'm going to pack up and head home, but I'll get some caffeine in me and then I'll feel a whole lot happier. We are cooking on gas, well, making tea on gas. There we go, look at that boiling away. Send it off. Carefully take the lid off. And get that poured. Beautiful. Cheers everyone. There's the bait. So we're going to look here just how I hook up the monobar rig before I cast it out. So I've got my imp at the bottom. I've put the hook on the imp, and then I've got the cascade swivel at the top, which goes on the swivel that's on the rig body, and we make sure that looper line isn't twisted at all. So there we go, that is good to be clipped on next time I reel in, change over to that rig, and we get it chucked out. So I've just reeled in the sand eels that I chucked out when I first got here, completely untouched. So I'm going to switch these over for a couple of fresh ones shortly, but in the meantime I'm going to get another Plaice rig out on my second rod to maximise the chances of getting another fish. Anyway, it's still worth trying a little bit with the sand eels because, you know, I'm getting enough action on the other rod to keep me happy anyway, and it's always worth trying a few different things, see what's about. So yeah, let's get cracking. Let's get the Plaice baits chucked out there. Get my drop length right, always checking that. Let's get it launched. Baits are back out. Come on, Plaice. So let's take a look at how I'm baiting up with these sand eels. I've got 2 sand eels here, still frozen. The first thing I'm going to do is chop the tails off. Don't want it spinning in the air, and that tail can make it spin a little bit. And then the heads, just line up where I cut those tails. I like keeping them the same length. I'm just going to cut roughly where the eyes are, and this is all about helping let the blood flow out. Now, I've got my baiting needle with the little hook at the top, and the first thing I'm going to do is take one of the sand eels head first and the other one tail first. I reverse them. This helps keep the bait just a tiny bit more symmetric, streamlined. I'm going to hold these to the baiting needle, get my baitek, and we're going to whip this on. So I'm going to hold them securely, get them lined up there on the baiting needle to start with. There we go. Go up and down a few times. I've got a dog walker coming past. So right, they are now held a bit more at the top end, securely on that bait needle. I'm going to slap the elastic off. Oh, I don't want to hook a dog. I'm going to get my bottom hook of my pennel rig. This is, I think it's a Frio short shank bait hook from Tronics Pro. I'm just going to nick that through one of the sand eels. There we go. I'll just clip that around the bait hook needle there. I'm going to slide the top hook of the pennel just out the way for a moment. Now more bait elastic at the end. We're going to give this a really good whip on because I want that hook to stay nice and proud, so that if a fish comes along, the hook is not masked, the hook point rather, is not masked by the bait. So I'll give this a really good whip on. Up and down a few times, focusing quite a bit around the eye of the hook. There we go. That's looking pretty good. Snap that off. Put the bait elastic down. I'm going to remove the bait needle. There we go. Now the top hook, I like to offset mine. So I'm just going to nick it through the sand eels at 90 degrees to the other hook. So the bottom hook and the top hook. And then we're going to pull the snood line so it's just tight, and that's going to hold those baits nicely in place, ready to go out. And I put these on, that's about must be a 4-foot snood on a running up and over rig. So that's ready to go back out once I reel my Plaice rig back in. Well guys, I just had a very tentative bite on the right hand rod. The line's gone a little bit slack, so something's probably just moved that lead a tiny little bit. I'll just tighten down into it a little bit. It was very, very tentative though, like the tiniest knock. Let's just keep an eye on that, see if it comes back. That's the one on the right hand rod, that's the up and over wishbone. 3-foot snood, size 4 saltwater supermatch hooks with the slightly stickier lug on the end. I haven't got a huge selection of baits for me today, just the lug. I had quite a bit left, so I wanted to bring just that really to use it up. Oh, there we go, that bite just went. And a pack of sand eels for trying for, well, I don't know, a ray maybe, but really I prefer to fish for rays after dark. Let's lift down into this, see if the fish has swallowed the hook. I'm not sure. If there's something on here, it's probably another whiting, but I think nothing probably, unless it's swimming in with me. It's gone a tiny bit heavier. There's always hope there's something on here. Walk down a little bit. If there is a fish on here, I'm not going to drag it up the beach. It's definitely got heavier as we got closer in. I think that's a really good sign. Obviously the fish is approaching shallower water, getting near the edge, fighting back a little bit. That'd be hilarious if there's nothing on it now, wouldn't it? But no, there's definitely something pulling back. Be nice if it's another Plaice. What have we got? We have a double shot. A double shot of what? Well, you'll find out in a second. They are still here. They are very much still here. So still no Plaice on the wishbone, but a double shot of whiting. Let's get these guys unhooked, chuck them back. So I've just started reeling in. the mono bar rig, and it feels like there's a bit of weight on it. So I'm going to walk down nearer the water and see if there's anything on it. That wind's hitting me much more in the face now. When I got it, it was nice from the north. It's supposed to be swinging round southwest today, but not until after lunch. Maybe it's changed a little bit early. Nearly at the edge. Look down a little bit more. Have we got anything? Oh, just move my leader knot. Don't want that catching on my thumb when I cast back out. And we do have a fish. Yet another fish. Not the target species, but I'm catching fish, and that's what makes me happy. There we go, another whiting. So we get this one unhooked, chuck him back. Well guys, it's been a little while since I last recorded any footage. It's gone very quiet. We're well into the ebb now. It's just gone 1 o'clock. I'm going to give it another hour and a half just to see if I can pick anything up as we approach low tide, which I believe is about 2:30 today, something like that. So I'll start packing up about 2:30. But yeah, I've just got to keep trying, keep plugging away and see if we can pick up another place. That's what I came for. But I've had a look at the weather forecast, and if it stays as predicted, I'm sure it's going to be far, far better conditions for the place next week. We've got a spell of northerlies coming that should keep the sea nice and calm. It should clear out. There's still quite a lot of colour today, even though it is definitely better than 2 days ago. So if that weather forecast is right, the tides are getting bigger, then it should be absolutely spot on conditions for the place. So I'll probably spend some time at the weekend knocking up some more place rigs, making sure I'm all prepared, and hopefully I'll be hitting the shingle for a couple of days next week. We should keep an eye on it, and fingers crossed those place will be in numbers. Anyway, so far today we've had the 2 place early on, loads of whiting, and that single dogfish that's managed to scrape up my hand good and proper. May or may not show up on the camera, but I'm sure that'll look nice and pink tomorrow. Definitely too delicate for catching doggies. That's a hard life, eh? Getting skin scratched up with that bit of sandpaper. Not complaining really. I do like being out here catching some fish, whatever species they are. I'm just keeping an eye on my rods while I'm chatting away, but I'm not expecting much now really. But yeah, when the tide turns, maybe over low, it might just bring on the fish, get them feeding again. Anyway, I'll keep you posted. Well, as those bites have eased off, I thought I'd try something different. Got to mix it up. I've just dropped this one in pretty close, about 40 yards. This is the one with the hybrid lead. Just have a little scratch in close, see if we can induce a bite. Well folks, I'd already recorded my outro, which said I'd caught 2 place, loads of whiting and a dog, and I was on my last cast, so that bit will be coming up in a moment. And I've just had a really nice pull down on this last cast, so I'm going to lift into this, see if there's anything on it. Be nice if it was another place. It's just on low tide, so let's see, is there anything here? Yep, there's some weight on this, absolutely. Fingers crossed it's got some spots. I'm just going to walk down to the water, so I'm nearer the edge. Make sure I keep the line tight as I go. I don't want to give the fish any slack. Oh, I'm glad this was on my last cast. If there's ever a fish I don't want to catch, it's one of those. It's made an absolute mess of my rig, but I'll get it unhooked, chuck it back, and it'll live to fight another day. But I'm definitely going to be chopping up that snood to sort that rig out and get the fish off the hook. slimy eel. Ah! There he is, unharmed, ready to swim off and fight another day. Anyway, now you'll get the outro, which doesn't mention the slimy eel. Well guys, it's gone 2 o'clock now, pretty much on low tide. I'm going to call it a day after one more cast. So all in all, considering that conditions aren't ideal, the tides are tiny, my bait was a bit old, I'm pretty happy really with how the session's gone. Just a couple of plaice earlier this morning, loads of whiting and the single dog. It's kept me busy, but the bites died right off since about lunchtime and haven't had a touch. So definitely only one more cast and then I'm going to pack up, head home and start doing my prep for hopefully hitting Brighton next week, when conditions should be absolutely spot on for those spotty plaice. Hope to catch you there guys. Thanks for watching. If you've liked the video, please do click the like button and consider subscribing. See you next time.